All right, guys, welcome back. So the car's inside. It has now been wiped a couple of times with alcohol. Obviously, you see me using it as a drying aid. I then went back around the car off camera, under the wing mirrors and stuff like that, where the water was dripping, door jambs. And I have just redone the car again. So this is something I normally wouldn't do. Obviously, I would probably just pre-wipe it once if this was a normal painted car. But because we're not polishing, obviously polishing is what abrades 100% a true correction of any protection. So it strips it professionally. So with this car, as you all know, this can't be polished. So I thought, well, if I can't do the manual stuff, let's start doing the chemical stuff and seeing if it helps or tries to get us to as close to zero as possible. Now, like I said, I've got a few more treats for you with what we're working on. Now, I'm gonna say this up front and then it'll make more sense in a second. So obviously you're gonna listen to this and say, well, what am I talking about? But it will make sense. So I'm gonna show you something that we've been working on for quite a while now, and it's still not released, obviously. But it amuses me how certain companies, or some companies, let's say, who have been going 18 months, 2 years, who have released a 3 or a 5-year rated ceramic coating, it's impossible because you've only been going 2 years, my friend. So yeah, some of these companies, you know, have been going 2 years. They post images saying our coating's doing well 18 months in. All coatings really do 18 months in, all the good ones anyway. So that's kind of not unexpected, yet they're rated for 3 to 5 years, which makes no sense to me. So I wanted to do this precursor first because, again, I came about an idea 2.5 years ago that I thought most coatings and some of the best coatings in the world are now truly unbelievable. You know, easy on, easy off. Durability, of course, varies down to obviously the price, accreditation levels, and also user experience. Some, you know, 10-year coatings, 7-year coatings, you need a little bit more playtime with, you know, a bit more wiping, stuff like that. This is why they last 7 years. Or some coatings that can last you 2 years, you can literally put it on like a spray wax, wipe on, wipe off, you walk away. Now, most coatings, I would say 99.9% of coatings on normal car finishes, they tend to add a little bit of gloss. Of course, the paint correction, I'm going to educate you on this. Paint correction is what really makes the car pop, okay? The products kind of add the cherry on top. So you can't take a sanded car with swirls, scratches, you know, it just looks hazy. You can put a coating on and all of a sudden looks like a show car. It'll make it a little bit better, but it won't look like when a professional has kind of worked his magic for a week. So they are gloss enhancing agents. Of course, they add a lot of protection, slickness, stuff like that. Now I thought, well, what happens if you make a product that is a gloss retaining product, which is, so not a gloss enhancing, but a retaining product. So I started researching some of this stuff. Basically, what I came across is, for example, gloss retention versus gloss boosting is obviously two completely different fields. So if I was to go and put the shiniest coating on this, I would mess this up. I won't make this into a shiny grey car, but I will start adding a lot of shine, and it'll become really patchy, and it just will not look good. So gloss retention is where you compound the car. Obviously, you refine it. It looks absolutely stunning. You then put a coating on, and then it protects the retained gloss that you have achieved. Or you take a matte car like this, and then it's the same thing. It retains whatever the lacquer is actually perceiving to our eyes. In this case, it's a matte finish. So I've been working on this. I've been putting it on wraps, panels, some cars as well. Inside cars, outside cars, left panels outside, hit them with acids, stuff like that. So 2.5 years in, I feel comfortable with version, I don't know what this is now, 5, 6. I'll need to check the spreadsheet. So this version now, I'm comfortable enough to kind of slightly start talking about it. The coating at V1 and V2 was great. Now, coatings are are fantastic for what they are. Again, they are the top level of protection without going obviously into the paint protection films. Waxing will still have its game, as well as sealing game, spray wax, detail sprays, all that. Everything has its own kind of share of the pie. Coating is the ultimate liquid protection. So I've been working on this slowly. Like I always say, people ask me, why aren't you doing compounding? Not compounding, why aren't you doing compounds, refining polishes? And my answer will always remain the same. Until I can beat the best products, what I believe are the best, then I won't even talk about it. I won't even embarrass the company by saying, ta-da, straight out of a relabel lab, there you go, this is a 47-year coating, but I've only been going 2 years, you know what I mean? So I've been working on this, I've been breaking it, I have been obviously adding to it. So what you see here, excuse the finger marks, but this is a gloss retaining coating. So hey, I'm gonna put this on a very expensive car right now, so if something's gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong big. Now, a few tips that I've learned over the years, but on this car, I'm gonna really enhance them. So what I'm gonna do is obviously, you coat it panel by panel. Normal coatings, if you are watching this and you're working on matte cars as a professional, this will be an interesting kind of case study for you. So most coatings you can do, so obviously 1 part, 2 part, and you keep going, you split it. Now with this, and with this like specific paint finish, you have to do the whole panel. So in this case, the bonnet. Reason I say this is if you do even half, there's like a nice ridge line in the bonnet. If you go up to this, and then obviously you're gonna level the coating and you're gonna go move it into that area, you're gonna see white marks. Now, again, if you mess something up on a normal car, you can just polish it back out if you're quick. On this car, literally, it's a game over. So I've got 1 attempt at this. So I'm not gonna mess around. I'm gonna do the whole bonnet. I'm gonna lift the bonnet as well. So I'm gonna just crack it so I don't go onto the wings. So when I do the wings, I'm gonna open the doors so I don't go into the front door and kind of so on and so forth. By the way, I haven't yet looked under the bonnet to see how the dressing's looking, and neither am I going to. I'm just gonna lift it. So again, I just give it a good shake for measure. Gonna use one of my beautiful applicator pads. Now what is interesting about this is a complete different backing material to the usual suede that you see. So this will actually take more coating into the fibers. So again, it'll probably take more on the pre-prime, but then again, it'll kind of, I will use less product on the subsequent panels. And also, you may be looking at this and, oh, smells beautiful. So you're gonna look at this and go, I'm applying too much, but because this is matte, this is slightly more absorbent. So obviously I wanna load the panels up. So here we go. If I mess this up, here comes the body shop. So there, look, I have applied a lot of product and I'm already starting to dry out. Wow. So rather than capping it all the time, I'm just gonna put my finger over the top so I don't start crystallizing the product. So obviously you want to take your time, but also don't forget, guys, that any product that has a super fast cure time, technically, 2 minutes even, but some coatings start to actually harden within 30 seconds. So do it as thoroughly as you can, but please don't take the mick, because obviously if this starts to cure badly, yeah, so I'm going to lay this. So what I've inbuilt into this specific formula is the fact that it's got a little bit more headroom for you. So again, this may take me a couple of minutes to coat the whole bonnet. So I'm going to go right over the badge. So you can go gloss, satin, matte. It's an interesting concept I'm trying to explore, but like I always proudly say, everything gets hammered on my car first. If it doesn't work, then we'll go, well, in this case, if this doesn't work, we're going first to the body shop and then going back to the drawing board. But again, this is not the first time I've used this. It's the first time on my car, obviously. So we've got a development car. I'm gonna just try and, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's almost as if I'm going on paper. So, yeah, so we've got a development car that this has been on for 2.5 years. In fact, we started working on this pretty much off the bat because I realize this may take a few years to develop and obviously give you a true durability reading, hence why the development car was chosen more than one of our nicer cars, because the nicer cars get washed 2 times a week. You know, they don't live in here. They obviously get driven, obviously they're garaged. So, whereas a development car, it's outside every single day. In fact, the only time it is inside, it's when it's going to our people to get service, new tires, stuff like that. So, what I already know with this car, with the way I'm going at the minute, is I'm going to use at least 2 bottles of this. Because I'm going heavy. Obviously, I'm then kind of, a little bit like with the Glass Plus, I'm pushing this within the pores. I want this to fill as much as possible. And also what I'm going to, obviously, by proxy, more product you use, the more product you have to remove. So, if you look over there on the bench, on the worktop, is I've got our version 1 utility towels. So I kept a couple 100 back for myself packaged, just so, you know, because I use them now specifically for coating removal. I don't use them for anything else. I use the white utility towels for obviously the interiors, the glass. Black is literally for coating. So look, I'm not adding any more product. I'm just leveling it. And I'm trying to make sure I have even coverage. Now, obviously I'm not looking at the camera, so I don't know how long exactly I've been at it, but what, 3 minutes, 5 minutes? And the coating's still malleable. Now this was developed in conjunction with somebody special. So I know this is up there. Just making sure I've got everything even before I just start attempting to remove this. Now the car looks like I've actually polished it probably from the camera. I can't see it yet, but from here it looks wet, obviously. I've put a lot of coating on. Here's the thing, if you're a detail and you're watching it, or watching this, these applicator pads are really nice. First of all, it's a nice square, so look, it's really ergonomic. So, boom, right. So obviously cap this now so it doesn't start to activate. And well, I've got 15 towels here. I probably need more. So what am I going to do? Let's have a look first. I'm going to use the first towel, like always, to push the product, absorb the product, and start to level it. I'm going to be careful not to hit the wing. I don't want any excess product now. Oh yes, look at that. It comes off like an absolute dream. So I'm just going to use towel number 1. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put it into halves. Get a bit more surface area. So the ambient temperature in the unit right now is probably about 16 degrees, 17 degrees, so warm, but not hot. So obviously this will allow the coating during the curing stages to start to do it a little bit quicker, obviously with heat. Right. So it looks a mess at the minute because I've just leveled it like this, which is what I want. So I'm going to keep my, oh, I forgot to do this part. Yeah, so it looks patchy. I don't know if the camera's seen it, but then I'm going to take my towel and I'm going to pretend I'm wiping the wax off. Literally, I'm just going to take it piece by piece. Now obviously from a viewing experience, you can't tell much of how the panel is reacting under my fingertips right now, but feels slick, feels very nice. Now luckily for me, this is the longest panel on the car, or the biggest panel on the car. So 90% of the roof is glass, before anybody asks. So there we go, look at that. Now, obviously I will use the third towel, but ooh, I may probably miss a bit somewhere. Hence why the third towel, which I call the complete virgin towel, it'll have no product on and it'll pick up potentially something that I may have missed. Like I said, on a finish like this, what's currently going through my head is I need to wipe it probably in the next 5 minutes, multiple times, to obviously mitigate if I've missed something. Because if you miss something, like for example, I can see something there. If you miss this and this actually hardens, just imagine a liquid layer of glass hardening on your car. That's not going to be pretty. You're going to see the high spots. Right. So I like to put these in order. So towel 1, towel 2, and then here comes a complete virgin towel. Oh, yes. Nice. So it's very slick. Now the beauty about this coating, it's very hydrophobic, which again most coatings are. So the reason I like hydrophobics, again, coating technology has moved a long way since the early, 2010s. Basically, in the past there used to be, obviously people say, oh, coating's water spot, and they still do if done incorrectly or maintained incorrectly. But the surface tension and the raw material technology has changed so much where it's a lot easier to maintain it. So I know that this coating is quite good on spotting, but I know you can't tell this right now on camera, but on a painted car, it's wax-like, which is what I like. We have a certain few different raw materials where they add that waxy gloss, because normally coatings, because they're completely inorganic, which obviously means completely man-made, it means they have a different level of gloss. Don't get me wrong, it's good, shiny as hell, but synthetic shine, which is nice on certain color spectrums like white, but when you get to black, it almost looks too fake. And I don't like that. But on a car like this, you probably can't even tell I've coated that. And what's going to happen as well, I'm going to put this on the wing mirrors, which are gloss, put on all the trim. So it's a one coating kind of system. And obviously eventually we will also have, again, this is at the same time we're developing as we speak, in line with this, we are developing a gloss enhancing coating, which no matter how the car looks, it will boost the gloss by 20-25%, which is actually huge numbers if you think about it. I'm not going to say 100% because it's impossible and I would be lying to you. But imagine you have a paint corrected car, the car's well maintained. You know, you've got no contaminants, no swirls, no scratches. You put a gloss enhancing coating on that I'm working on. Whoa. Sometimes the people who are local and they come down and see one of the cars, I won't tell you which car because then you can keep guessing, but one of the cars that we always have down here is always super shiny. People are like, how the hell are you getting that shine? Secret. Obviously, we've put a lot of manual work into it, but other things, just listen to that. Strange, but so slick. Woo-hoo-hoo. So no high spots. I've wiped the street, well, 4 times. I've gone around with this twice. I'm just being really paranoid here. There we go. So you're going to follow me around when I've got anything interesting to say, and hopefully I can shed a bit more fire. Now another advantage of this coating, as you're about to see, is the fact that it could be put, as I said, matte, gloss, satin, doesn't really matter, but also on trim. So obviously this car has got plastic trim surround. So what I'm going to do is, obviously, that's why I've lifted the boot a little bit. What I'm going to do is, obviously, I'm going to go around here. So obviously, see, I'm touching the trim, but I'm going to go bang right over it. Now you can see it looks wet, it looks glossy, but once it's removed, which I've already done on the front and rear wheel kind of arch plastic trim, it will go a nice satin kind of, I won't say colour, but kind of a satin finish. So again, every piece of trim, I'm going to put this on the exhaust. Now what I found, obviously, because this car requires, I've already done half the car, so the whole passenger side is technically done. But because this car requires more product, it requires more towel kind of usability and capability. So when I told you 15 towels, I will be surprised if I don't go through all 15. If I don't, it's a bonus. But if I do, it's one of these things. Because this is just eating up the coating. It's just as soon as I'm putting it on, probably 20 seconds in after application, it's just eating it into, obviously, the finish. Again, I'm just on, as you can see, I'm putting so much on, and my pad is just starting to slip all the time, you know, like a dry drag, which means I need to add more product, which I knew was going to happen, so I'm not complaining. So over the tail lights. Now it's a neat trick to obviously lift or open, the apertures in between the different kind of materials, only because that means, like I already mentioned, you're not getting that over wipe issue of going from, say, rear bumper to boot, or rear door to front door. That way I've got a bit more kind of quality control to exactly where I'm going. So obviously with any flagship coating, I believe personally that you can apply this everywhere. So like you've seen, I'm not messing around. I'm literally going gloss to well, first of all, gloss black, up to plastic, up to matte. No problems whatsoever. And the beauty of on the plastic, actually, as a good case study, it's leaving a certain finish. So it's not a completely matte finish, but imagine you boost the finish by around 20%, and that's the finish that obviously we're achieving, which is really nice. It basically looks like a permanent dressed look, but like a satiny dressed look on the trim. really nice. Obviously it takes to the trim lovely, just one wipe with your leveling towel and bang, it's just nice. When I get closer to the edges, I almost like doing like a wax motion, because it kind of, it moves the product in a whole different way. Because you know, sometimes with, well, unless the pad is fresh, you know, when it's dripping in product, this doesn't happen. But when you're starting to kind of dry off a bit, or dry out the applicator, when you do a motion like this, right up to the edges, it kind of picks up product underneath it or behind it and moves it upwards. So that's just my preferred method of doing this. I've got kranzels popping out everywhere. Boom, people waiting to pick them up. Running out of space. Oh, by the way, obviously the mini detailing series, a little bit of an update. We have, so if you watch my podcast, on the last one when I was talking about acquiring property, what we've done is we've decided to cancel on that unit, because luckily to us, the unit behind us has come available, so it's twice the size. Beautiful. So can't really complain. So we've obviously we were supposed to get the keys today, which is a Friday, but obviously even the landlord said it must be fate. And what's even better news, the guy that is directly behind me, like literally through this wall, on my back, has been asking when his lease is up, which obviously you only ask that for one reason, right? So hopefully if we move this correctly, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, so like an actual square. We're going to knock doors through it so we can actually go through all the facilities through one door. And then hopefully as well, when I was talking about the podcast, the biggest unit on site, obviously that's on that row, so where our other two will be. Hopefully it's like January, February time, I'm hoping, and we're going to take that one too. So that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. So Kelly made a good idea, is we'll probably, because we've got good land, well, good facility space soon, we should start breaking down the units into actual individual kind of jobs. So for example, we obviously have tens and tens of thousands of towels incoming, so we'll probably have one unit for microfiber. So microfiber, packaging for the microfiber, and anything that kind of goes with it. Then we're going to have another unit for pressure washing, obviously guns, stuff like that, Krenzlers, liquids, accessories. Well, accessories and liquids will probably go into another one. So literally, if the people who work here, they'll know that, say, unit 1 is X, unit 2 is Y, and that way we can literally ramp production up a lot more kind of effectively and a little bit more kind of organized. So I can't wait for that. If we take all the units on, we'll probably expand three more facilities within the space of 6 months. So obviously the unit that I'm talking about that we've just cancelled, it's going into, this is why it has to be sorted today, because the first of the month is technically a Sunday, so they have to sort it out today. And hopefully we'll get the keys on the 1st of December. So obviously it takes them a month. I don't know why it takes them a month to kind of do all that stuff, but yeah, a month it is. And obviously you can't complain because she sorted us really, really well out. So she's kind of chopped and changed our contracts. So you can't really complain. This coat, I'm telling you, so what's really curious is you can go still, so it's still on the panels. So when we put it on paint, you've seen what happens. You wipe it off and it retains the actual light refractions that this happens, well, or this kind of produces. But then you put it on the light, so we put it on here, and the gloss level, you know, when you're wiping it, you just like ping, it's like it's added gloss, because obviously kind of color and shiny plastic. You put it on trim, and it does a completely kind of different thing. It's as if the raw materials, when they're landing on each specific surface, are like, right, this is X, this is Y. So really interesting. Obviously, we're going to level it now. In fact, this is an automatic boot hold thing with Mercedes. So you can press the stop button at any point in the process and it'll stop it. So you just lift it a bit. You can go right up to the edges. No problem. Look at that. So yeah, this is definitely, if you ever work on matte and you've got products that need to be leveled, it definitely needs to be a 3-towel process. It needs to be obviously this 1 towel is kind of mopping up / spreading. Like I'm using this actually to spread into the tighter areas as well, because it's starting to get really saturated. But it's also probably drying 75% of the coating, or it's removing it whilst pushing it around. And then the other 2 towels are literally the leveling towel and the final kind of cross-check towel. And obviously the best process, obviously you have to have a key knife for the last 2 towels. So I'm gonna fold it to a completely fresh side. So basically after every panel, as you see, I change the side of the towel. Don't be scrupulous with this, because if you mess this up for the sake of, you know, spending 10, 20 quid on towels, you could be spending £1,000 on a respray. Well, if it's one area, on a whole car like this, you know, you'll be looking 10 grand. So don't be scrupulous and don't be tight. Do it once, do it right. No, wipe it all off. It's going to look beautiful. And, you know, it's for many years to come, this. And this is why I've decided to kind of introduce this to you guys on this car, because at the end of the day, as you all know, I'm a big shine addict. You know, all my other cars, I will chase that ultimate kind of swirl-free finish, blah, 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 you know. Whereas with this, there's not much you can do. Now, on the flip side, it's very nice because you just wash dry now. You don't need to do anything else. So I can't really chase anything. I can't chase like more matteness or more sheen, because it's just kind of pointless, isn't it? This car will never shine like a normal car. And this is why we bought it, you know, just nice and stealthy. But I'll say something, the maintenance on this car, also by the way, just remember you need to go in between the badges if you coded them like I have. But the stealthiness of this car and the maintenance regime, oh, there's nothing like I've ever experienced before. It's so easy. Just wash it, drying aid, done. You just keep repeating that. And in fact, I probably, if I never shot this mini-series, I probably could have effectively done that up until I sold the car. However long we keep it, you know, keep adding a little bit into it. Every wash. The washing and drying of this is just super easy. So obviously this will be, I can't wait to actually show you the first wash on this. Obviously I'm going to let this cure for the full 48 hours. I'm not going to mess around and, you know, count down to 24. I'm just going to leave it here for a couple of days, let everything gas off. Then I'm not going to wash this, or I'm not going to introduce any chemical. This is the most important thing with products like this. In fact, almost any product, you want to let this product sit. So even a wax, it gasses off in a certain amount of time. Each wax is different, but let's say 12 hours. But it's still continuing to harden. So imagine you go and wax your car, you let it gas off, you go and wash it, or you leave it and then wash it. You will see actually that if you leave it longer, the actual hydrophobics, the durability of course, will all be improved. So with this, I'm not going to introduce any chemical or any product for the next 7 days. So after the first few days, the car can get wet. This is first of all why it's inside. So it can see water then, so I'm just going to keep on top of it in terms of I'm going to carry an air blower with me everywhere I go with this car, and if it starts to rain heavily and the sun peeks out, or if it's not going to rain for the next few days, I am going to blow the car off as much as I can. I'm going to look like a right weirdo, but I'm just trying to mitigate the water spotting issue. And then after the full 7 days, I'm just literally just going to give it a very gentle wash, and I'm going to top it. So I will show you the drying aid of choice on that one. I've been doing some testing on it as well, so guys, you've got to stay tuned for that, because I think I may have found a trick. And before this car actually goes into the wild again and potentially gets wet, because it's currently still blowing gale force winds with a storm outside, so it will get wet. So before it leaves here, I will put something over the top of it, is to kind of let the coating continue to harden over the next 7 days.